Welcome, everyone, to Couch Potato Theater here on the Fandom Podcast Network, where we celebrate our favorite movies. My name is Kevin. I'm going to be your host, and I'd like to welcome my guest here, my lovely wife, Erin. Now, Erin, we've got a very special show here, and I remember something that you told me one time, and it has stayed in my brain, that 1985 was the 80th of the 80s decade. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That's when we did the Tough Turf podcast. And the reason why we mention that is because we are discussing Couch Potato Theater, the sure thing here on the Fandom Podcast Network, celebrating its 40th anniversary. And just a little warning, there might be some adult content, so an advisory warning there. But back to sure thing, 1985 40th anniversary. And I've gotten very familiar with the film recently, but I didn't see it way back then. We'll get into that more later. This is the Fandom Podcast Network. If you're watching our YouTube channel, please hit our QR code there. It'll take us straight to our website with all of our wonderful podcasts. But I think it's time to bring in our wonderful Sure Thing crew here. With me, as always, with our my co-host of Time Warp here on the Fandom Podcast Network. Please welcome Miss Lacey Adderhold. Lacey, what's going on?
Hello. Not a lot. Excited to talk about this fun movie.
Yeah, I'm excited to get your thoughts on the Sure Thing. With us, Lacey, you got one more thing?
I was going to say, while 1985 is the 80s-est of the 80s, like the year, the 80s-est movie did not come out until 1989, which is Roadhouse. Roadhouse is the 80s calling the 80s.
That's a good argument right there. That's good. Well, we are not done here. We need one more for the road trip here to California.
Wishes of Eastwick.
Yeah, Wishes of Eastwick. That's good too. We have to bring on Chef Stomp herself, the queen, the beatdown queen. If you play fantasy football with her, Jennifer.
Except this season, which I suck.
What's going on, Jennifer? How are you?
Not much. Very good. And I'm so glad we have an adult content warning because that's my favorite thing. That means I get to swear and drop F-bombs.
Well, we're going to have a lot of fun discussing the Sure Thing here. I hear a lot more people talking about it. But there's not a lot of posters for it, but if you're watching the video here, we've got some of the more classic ones. The original one, of course, just has Nicolette Sheridan, and we're going to talk about our physical media here in a moment. But I wanted to, first of all, get into the IMDb plot description here, which we call the IMDb possibly vague, not always spot on plot description here. And for the Sure Thing, we have college freshman Walter Gibson decides to go across country to visit his friend in California during the winter break. Awaiting there is a bikini-clad babe who friend assures him is a sure thing. Meanwhile, Allison, a cute but somewhat retentive girl at Gibbs College, also has decided to head out to California to see her boyfriend during the break. Gib and Allison are thrust together on a road trip from hell, and somewhere along the way, they find each other's company to be tolerable. Now, what will become of Gibbs' Sure Thing? That's kind of spot on, Erin.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just didn't add show tunes, and it would be more. It
Oh,
would have been fine.
Exactly, yeah. Now, this was released March 1st, 1985, running time about 95 minutes. And with a budget of about $4.5 million, with the box office of about $18 million. So it actually made money, which is a good thing, I guess. So we're going to have this playing in the background here. So the origins of this film, and you can get this on the special features of the Blu-ray as well, is that it came from an experience with writer Stephen L. Bloom had while attending Brown University. During this time, his best friend was attending Emory University in Atlanta. I know where that is. In Georgia, and was constantly recounting the good times he was having, which Bloom felt left out of. Out of pity over a situation, his friend arranged for him to meet a sure thing over spring break. So Bloom found a ride through a ride board and drove to Atlanta with a number of other students. Lacey, I would think that during Dragon Con, there might have been a sure thing for him there, right?
It's entirely possible, but I think there was just the fact that he was coming to Atlanta for spring break. There would have been a sure thing at some point.
All right. The first thing that we want to ask here, guys, and I'm going to start with my lovely wife, Erin, because she introduced this film to me.
Mm-hmm.
When and where did you first see The Sure Thing?
Oh, it was on video.
video?
I knew the movie was out. I remember being in London and seeing the poster for it. So I remember it being at the cinema, but I didn't see it there. It was suddenly, I think, around about 86, 87, when I went to Box Hill TAFE. It was something that was always played at.
Just for the listeners, that is a school in Melbourne, Australia, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so yes, it was something that was always played at parties, or going to someone's house. It was like on a rotation. People loved it. It was just one of those films that, I don't know, people enjoyed. It's smart, it's sexy, it's, and it was always just getting played. And then I just loved it. I'm not a massive comedy fan. I'm a horror fan, but and I like sort of throwaway line comedies. So smart, with lines, and I'm not visual comedy. And I just find this movie hysterical, and I still find it hysterical today. Laugh out loud, and it is my favorite comedy of all time. Nice. And to me, the perfect movie. So we'll go into that.
Nice. All right. Jen, I'm going to go to you next here. When and where did you first see this?
So after watching it and reflecting, I probably VHS as well. Probably one of those Friday night, Saturday night at Laura's house, renting it from Music Plus in the 80s. When we probably rented Suburbia or something along those lines. But watched it, and then watching it again recently kind of all came back to me like, oh, okay, yeah, it was one of those things that's like something to watch. So that's probably first introduction, and then no, I'm going to do this watching it again.
How did you watch it recently?
The DVD that Lacey held up. Good.
All right. Well, speaking of Lacey, I'm curious to find out, and I think I know the answer. When did you first watch this movie?
I first watched this movie on November 19th, 2025.
Wow.
So the last few days, basically.
Yes. I thought I had seen this movie, but I was mistaking it for One Crazy Summer. Which is why when it was suggested, I was like, really? Like a full podcast on? Because, I mean, don't get me wrong. One Crazy Summer is fine, but I don't feel like I could talk about it for an hour and a half.
Oh, I could talk about One Crazy Summer.
I'd probably have to see it again.
Right.
But yeah, so I watched it. I watched the commentary, very informative commentary, and then a bunch of really cool interviews on the Blu-ray.
Gotcha.
Who was on the commentary?
Rob Reiner and no, it was just Rob Reiner. The interviews were the costumer. There was some. There was a kind of a cast thing. There was a making of.
Yeah. Cool. Gotcha. Well, that's cool. It'll be interesting to get your perspective because I haven't asked you your opinion on it after watching it for the first time. So this will be interesting.
Cool.
So the first time I never saw this in the theater. I think I remember seeing it on the video shelves. I didn't have HBO or pay TV when I was younger, so I didn't see it recycled through that, if that's what would happen. I don't remember it being on broadcast television, edited for television. I just remember it was just kind of out there in the ether, and I had forgotten that John Cusack was in it. Didn't realize that it was a Rob Reiner film. And it wasn't until I met this lady, 2016. I think we were taking our trip down to Florida
to go that hard drive.
Yeah, to go down to see a Highlander convention, and she had this hard drive of downloaded movies. She's like, "You haven't seen the Shore thing?" Yeah,
that was a test. Things that you need to watch. Does our relationship go forward?
And
going forward.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm a huge Cusack fan. And so I got my fill with that. And then Daphne Zuniga, of course, I knew through Spaceballs and, of course, Melrose Place. And, of course, I had to find copies of it. And what's funny is that I found these copies first. And I found double feature copies. I found The Sure Thing and Valley Girl.
That's the best double feature ever.
Best double feature ever. And it's a totally 80s double feature.
That's the Aaron double feature.
Yes.
So 80s.
And what's cool is it's the one Valley Girl has the one with Deborah Foreman on the cover, where instead of that other weird girl that was,
Michelle Mayring.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I found this one. This is Aaron's second favorite double feature and a Rob Reiner double feature is The Sure Thing with When Harry Met Sally that you got at Walmart. So there you go.
Mhm.
And then I did find the actual DVD one because this one was kind of hard to find for a while. And I found it at Amoeba Music in Hollywood. That's why I kept the sticker on it. And it's got the classic Sure Thing cover. But like you, Lacey, I had to upgrade to the Blu-ray. So I did get the Blu-ray because it does have the cool special features on it as well. And so it was nice to kind of get to full round the physical media of this movie. And it was funny as I was doing the notes for this thing yesterday, I was finishing up. And so I watched the movie twice back to back.
Mhm.
And I was like laughing, like, Aaron, you're right. This thing is totally rewatchable.
And you got to hear it
Yes.
and watch it without me quoting every single line. Because that's all he gets is me saying every single line.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We got, we're going to definitely get into that. Well, let's get into the main movie discussion here. I got some talking points that I want to go over here for The Sure Thing. Now, one thing I like to do is when we do these anniversary movies, and they've had an anniversary, like, earlier, we did, of course, Fright Night just recently for celebrating its 40th anniversary. We also did Just One of the Guys. That was a lot of fun. We did that one
That
as
was
well.
all of us, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, you're all on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like to kind of go through some articles here, and I found one by Ciara Maloney, and this was posted. This is the year of 2025, so it's celebrating its 40th anniversary. And this one came out in March for the true anniversary of this film. And it says, it's easy to forget that when he hasn't directed a movie in 30 years, Rob Reiner, he says a good movie in 30 years. But Rob Reiner had an 80s as good as Francis Ford Coppola had in the 70s. His 1984 directorial debut was Spinal Tap, one of the funniest films ever made, one of my perfect films personally. And in the next 5 years, he helmed all the best genre contenders coming from Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally. His sophomore feature, though, The Sure Thing, released 40 years ago this week, is a forgotten masterpiece. Roger Ebert dubbed The Sure Thing a small miracle, and Roger Ebert goes on. We'll go on more on that a little bit later. But what's interesting, though, is that The Sure Thing is unique on how it bridges this insurmountable gap between Porky's and Pretty in Pink, as Jasper Sharp writes in the BFI, sassy yet never bawdy, and sentimental while never mawkish. Its teenage characters have sex not as fodder for dirty jokes, but as part of their complex emotional lives. In this film that bridges and whose characters must bridge a gap between sex and love. Now, we're going to bring this up later, but I wanted to mention it now. Through Rob Reiner, he never claimed to have seen it happen one night, and it's hard not to see that Sure Thing is a teen movie riff on Frank Capra's classic screwball comedy. So I want to kind of stop there, guys, and kind of get your thoughts on where the beginning of this article is going. Jennifer, I want to start with you.
So I can see the similarities with It Happened One Night, the Capra film. I found it really, going back and rewatching it, really refreshing on how Nicolette Sheridan's character was treated, how Daphne Zuniga's character was treated. Very respectful. I guess now with post Me Too and stuff, going back and watch it, like you think, oh, in the beginning, Nicolette Sheridan on the beach wearing a bikini, she's going to be a dumb blonde who's, bobbleheaded and everything, but she's not. She seems almost tenuous when you actually start talking to her later in the film. So I think it was great the way they did that. And just, it was funny throughout. It had great one-liners. It was the almost like the buddy comedy as the road trip progresses. So there were so many different layers throughout where they attach. It wasn't really enemies. It was just, I don't like you because of this. It kind of becoming friends. And I wouldn't go as far as friends to lovers, like the enemies to lovers trope. It was more of a, you're not my favorite person, to, okay, I can tolerate you, to, oh, I kind of like you, in a way that being 18, 19 years old, you kind of discover that. So I thought it was handled really well, and all the different layers that you don't find in 80s teen comedies. It's sex, it's treating the girls as not whores, but for lack of a better term, the boys being, that's all we're after, and not being at all thoughtful about it. So I thought that was really nice.
Nice.
I believe the word you were looking for was expendable.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, Lacey, let me get your thoughts on that too, because this article also said that this movie is a forgotten masterpiece, and that kind of just rang with me just now.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, it's a fantastic film. It's pre-code Hollywood, where all of a sudden the Catholic Church was saying, like, in 3 years we're going to have this list of, they gathered all these bishops and popes and whatever to say, like, this is what's evil, right? We got to figure out the code for Hollywood. So there was like this weird time where you had about 3.5 years where they were putting out some crazy stuff in the cinemas that would not even be okay today.
Mm.
And this was one very tame by those standards, but it was at a time where you wouldn't talk about sex on camera, much less actually have someone like elope and do all these things. So it's an interesting film. It's a good film. It's also, I think it was one of the first, I think it was the first film to win the big five, like all five of the, or maybe it was like screenplay, actor, director, actress, and best picture. Like I don't remember if it was all five or if it was like the top three or whatever, but he won all. Oh wait, here it says winner of 5 Academy Awards right there on the picture. Okay. So it has a history, and that's great. I think that there were a couple of similarities. I don't find it to be as, if I was going to say that there was a ripoff, I would say that he ripped himself off and made When Harry Met Sally out of The Sure Thing.
Well, it's interesting. It's a good point. It's interesting though. I feel like I've seen so many movies where there's a road trip of people and then someone falls in love with each other or something like that, whether it's a drama or whether it's a comedy.
Yeah.
But that's a good point, Lacey. Aaron, what about you? Forgotten masterpiece. And did you ever see it happen one night?
No, I know of it. No,
Yeah.
I think I've seen bits of it. And I know that from the start, they always said that it was sort of, an updated version of that. But I mean, I think what I love about this film, again, it is different from like the Porky's and the Last American Virgin and that well, though the Last American Virgin is quite sad, but of those sort of, one-dimensional characters. Again, you know what I love? I love the fact that Allison is not a virgin.
Yeah.
I like the fact that she's actually, not that it's mentioned, but you just know that she has actually had sex with her boyfriend. So it's not like she's the virginal girl and then, the sure thing, which is that's all she's known of, is this sort of, as you said, blonde bimbo that just has no brain. So everyone has layers. And I think with the whole thing of Gib bringing out the spontaneity and letting Allison come out of her sort of comfort zone, she also reins him in. And I think that, he gets to care about her, not for, going and sort of, as his best friend Lance, which he mentions earlier on about having sex behind somewhere. And oh no, that was you, Lance.
That was you. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I think even Lance is writing to him.
Yeah.
They're sending letters. I mean,
remember letters, people? Remember those?
He didn't just leave him. He didn't just go, we're going into 2 different spots. They're actually still sending, they've still got a relationship. So, and even the best friend who, ends up having the girlfriend because he's letting her hear the right things. Everyone's got layers. I love it.
Great points. I wanted to bring in Roger Ebert here. As we know, he's one of the most famous movie reviewers here in the United States for the longest time, with his buddy Siskel. And, at the movies, used to watch those all the time and get the reviews. And, Roger Ebert has a certain style and a certain way. And there's certain movies, he's not going to like. But rest in peace. Of course, he's died. I think he died about over 10 years ago. But his website's still up there, and people still write under his name, and he's now a brand name. And he went on to give this, and this was an article published by Andrew Pogue back in June of this year. And he says, when a movie fans think of rom-com acting Mount Rushmore, there are a slew of names that immediately come to mind. Among them are Hugh Grant, Notting Hill, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Love Actually, Diane Keaton, Something's Gotta Give, Annie Hall, Father of the Bride, and the ever iconic duo of Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks, Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail. While these actors are undoubtedly deserving of their immediate placement atop this illustrious mountain, there are a few notable names that have become unfairly overshadowed by their massive stardom. Among these underdogs is John Cusack. He isn't flashy, isn't particularly unique, but he's still one of the greatest, most reliable romantic comedy performers of all time. The first films that come to mind when fans think of John Cusack rom-coms are his pair of cheesy 80s efforts like Say Anything and Better Off Dead. But the greatest one of all was released before both and went completely unrecognized. 1985 saw the release of The Sure Thing, a highly underrated, relatively raunchy road trip romantic comedy that features the most perfectly cast ensemble of all time. The film was largely ignored by contemporary critics despite the perfect cast, but one critical mind saw the film for what it is, a miracle. And this is what the author goes on to say about Roger Ebert's original review with this. And, he talked about, of course, Rob Reiner and how he was on a roll here as well. But I want to ask you guys about the romantic lead here that we have with John Cusack and what we know of him, because he says that The Sure Thing is a most basic level, a romantic comedy about two widely different college freshmen who are unforeseen circumstances throw their travels plans into disarray. Find themselves on a cross-country road trip together. The film primarily follows Walter Gibb, played by John Cusack, a fun-loving, spontaneous, and somewhat obnoxious underclassman who is suddenly invited to the West Coast to visit his childhood best friend over the winter break. So I want to ask you guys about the romantic lead tag that they're giving here. Is he underrated? I'm going to go with you first, Aaron.
Well, I don't know. I've always liked John Cusack.
Yeah.
Never sat back and thought of him as a romantic lead. And I still don't find this as a smulchy, this is what it's meant to be. It's just that this is what happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it feels kind of
not
like
forced.
It feels reality. It feels real.
Yes. So
yeah.
They're not. There's not a thing of going out and I want to go and find this. This is just what happens when it goes through. I mean, I love road trip movies because I love road trips. So it's the adventure and that. So yeah, I mean, I've always liked John Cusack. I loved him in High Fidelity. I liked him in some of his. He could do comedy, obviously. But I just don't find him. To me, Hugh Grant does a romantic thing, but I find John Cusack just John Cusack.
Yeah, I mean, because there's a. Let me ask you, Lacey. We're big fans of Hallmark and romantic comedies and stuff like that. When you get romantic comedies, that there's a lot of unrealistic expectations, but they're just fun, and we want to see what happens from A to Z. What do you think about John Cusack being labeled and forgotten romantic lead here?
I think, I love my romantic comedies, right? And I love my road trip movies. That's a whole different thing. There's a whole series of road trip movies, just Bob Hope, like Road to This, Road to That. Love the road trip movies. With John Cusack, I don't see him as necessarily a romantic comedy guy. He is a left-handed romantic comedy guy, right?
Explain.
It's a movie where things are happening and stuff's going on, and there's a different goal. And along the way, he often stumbles into a relationship. And I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. Like,
are you talking about like the different people he chats up and hangs out with, whether it's the truck driver or the guys at the bar?
No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about like this movie didn't start out as a romantic comedy in my brain. It was a road trip movie for sex. Right. Yeah. This is what it was. It was like this guy was thinking with the little head instead of the big head. And along the way, he realized that he had some brains that were above the waist. Right. That's kind of, I don't know where I figured it out, though. I think that things like I do have favorite romantic comedies that he was in. I'm the distraction that's going to go with your daughter to London. Like, hello, Say Anything's amazing, right? I mean, we have the poster and it's iconic and
Say Anything. Yeah.
Right. And so that's great. But I don't see that as it doesn't even feel like a romantic comedy to me. It's a high school movie where he gets the girl in the end. because it doesn't. It shows his struggle with being who he is, and then when he figures it out, that's when the girl kind of falls into place. It's never like, this is the girl, woo!
Right.
Because there's always these things.
Okay.
I mean, even later on when he did like America's Sweetheart and a couple of other ones, he's kind of that aloof guy, not in a bad way, but like he just sort of, he does the thing and then, oh, hey, how you doing?
Jen, what about? Oh,
yeah.
sorry. Go ahead. I didn't know if you had more.
No, I will say that he is. I was expecting one thing, and when I met him, I got a completely different thing. Not a bad thing, just completely not the guy I thought. I had him sign a $2 bill because right. And so when I went to the lady, and I was like,
you met him at a convention.
Yeah, and I said, I asked her, I was like, I have a $2 bill, but I know it's like defacing property, government, whatever. I don't know if this is right. And he looked across the thing. He goes, what is it? I'll sign it. I don't give a fuck. What is it? Cool. I'm gonna sit. Let's bring it. It's fine. What is it? He's like, defacing property? Yep. And he was super chill.
I want my $2. That's great. I love that.
And then he was letting people do the photo, like with like the photo where he's like, and there's a person. It was great. He was very like.
That's a great story. I love that.
Yeah.
God. And what a great idea to get the $2 bill sign. I would never have thought that. I would just thought like a DVD or a Blu-ray or something. That's
I took a strap of $2 bills and sold them for $5.
Nice.
I mean,
all right, Jen, let's get your thoughts on John Cusack here being labeled as a kind of lost romantic lead here.
Would not kick him out of bed for eating crackers, and I'd probably buy the crackers. So to Lacey's comment of the left-handed, what I interpret that is 10%, because those of us that are left-handed are 10% of the population. It's 10% of the population would find him to be a romantic lead, whereas most people, the other 90% who don't know what the hell they're thinking about, wouldn't really see him as a romantic lead. So that's how I interpret Lacey's comment on that. So love him, fell in love with him even more in, Say Anything and Better Off Dead, and then into the 90s with Gross Point Blank, you're a fucking psycho. Because he was so hot in that movie. To Lacey's point about seeing it's more of a road trip movie, wouldn't seeing it as a romantic comedy. I think that's one of the characteristics of the film, in that they're not overtly telling you what you are to see.
Yes.
They're giving you the breadcrumbs. So it's a road trip movie. It's a college freshman movie. It's a teen sex comedy. But the underlying thing is, as we're going down these various layers, BT dubs, it is a romantic comedy. And I think that's one of the things that's very powerful about it, is that it's not forced on you. It kind of lets you figure it out for yourself. And I think when Roger Ebert was talking about the cast and being a perfect movie and how it works, I think that is one of the values in it, in that it doesn't force it. It's like Porky's. Hey, teen boys in the 50s going to get laid at a house of ill repute, aka a brothel. I mean, it's
with George and Ma'am. Sorry.
But I think that's what it is the expectations that you go in with are subtly shattered, and you walk out going, oh, okay, it's kind of like life. Like, this is the expectation, and this is where you think you're going to go, but the reality is completely different.
Right. And
when you get through with it, it's like, oh, okay, it was nice.
Feels like a slice of life as opposed to a road trip or a romantic comedy. It's just,
and I think that's what John Cusack is. Mm-hmm. He's, I mean, come on, Anthony Edwards, who in '84 was in Revenge of the Nerds, is now the playa, for lack of a better term. He's the male slut of the season.
Yeah. And actually was cast in the part that John Cusack had before John Cusack was met. Yeah. So he actually got a call from Rob Reiner saying, hey, man, but also, could you do this instead?
Yeah. Well, guys, let's get into the reviews here because it's this. That's why this is like a forgotten gem. It's got overall positive reviews. The Letterboxd rating out of 5 is a 3.5. IMDb rating is a 7 out of 10. And Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 83% tomato meter and a 79% popcorn meter. And famous reviewer Leonard Maltin, we know him. He said the movie was utterly predictable but cute. So there's Maltin for you. Well, guys, we got little bit of trivia here. Let's get into some trivia here. So we got a few here for you. So number 1, Rob Reiner initially refused to audition John Cusack because he was underage. After the casting directors convinced Reiner to audition him, he knew he would be perfect. But John Cusack was only 17 and hence a minor during production. He had to seek legal emancipation from his parents in order to shoot on location. So, yeah, there you go. Does he seem like he's 17, Aaron?
Yeah, I think it's funny because usually these movies, everybody's too old. So they're in college. So we're talking about, what, 20, 21 years?
18 to 22.
Yeah. So, and everybody looks like of age. You know, they might be a little older, but John Cusack's actually younger. So it was a really weird thing of he was actually underage playing an older part, which is usually the other way. They're always older trying to play teenagers. So everybody sort of actually looks the right age.
Yeah.
And he does. He doesn't look 17. I think John Cusack's very dry. He's a dry comedian. It's very dry. And I think he comes off still quite mature.
I didn't know anyone at 17 that was as funny as this guy. Lacey.
And the funny thing is that emancipation didn't work the same way it does now. So he had to be adopted by one of the, like, he had to have a guardian, right? And so I can't remember whether it was Roger Birnbaum or Andrew Scheinman, but apparently to this day he still jokes and calls them dad. And there's a part of the interview process.
So just quickly, he would be emancipated. So that means he is legally
an adult.
He's an adult, but back then it was, you still had to have a guardian to do that. Nowadays, if you're 15 years old and you're in a position where you have the ability to get a job and support yourself and do whatever, you can
and does that run out? I mean, does that thing run out? Like, with his sort of that guardian run out when he turns 18?
No, like that's the thing. It's like, it's basically an adoption.
Okay.
I mean, not exactly, but yeah.
The next bit of trivia here, guys, is the scene where Gib teaches Allison to shotgun a beer was added to the script after John Cusack told Rob Reiner it was something he knew how to do. When Gib is teaching Allison how to shotgun a beer, he's wearing a T-shirt with 2 people on it, Dwight D. Eisenhower and Tina Turner. The shirt was known as Ike and Tina T-shirt. And as you probably remember when you're watching the special features, I found out on the costuming part of this, the lady who was the costumer, she found it down on Melrose at a clothing store. And we'll bring that up a little bit later because it's an iconic T-shirt there, but a very funny scene as well. So,
but
see,
go ahead. That picture you just showed, that still where he's showing her how to shotgun a beer, that is a baby face if I have ever seen one. So like there are certain times throughout the movie, like close-ups or things like this, where he does look 17 and very young. And if you think about it, freshmen in colleges, typically with the way we run it in the United States, if you're born after September 15th or whatever, you are in the next grade. So like he could technically be Laura, my best friend Laura, she was born in December. So,
I was always the youngest kid in the class.
Exactly. And so technically he really could at 17 be a freshman in college. And so it's not beyond the realm of belief.
Yeah.
I was. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right. The next bit of trivia we have here is here it is. Here we go. Actress Daphne Zuniga once said, "It's hard to admit, but I was really a lot like this character. I feel like she lived this character."
Yeah.
And that's what really made it good and kind of maybe hit home for her as well, because she was fantastic.
And I also think he ad-libs a lot. Like that whole scene with them doing the shotgun is totally ad-libbing because it's just the way she laughs at some of the things he says. So, you know, and he probably would go off. I think that was a lot said that he was allowed to do so many things where she was quite structured. And so their their relationship really was the same sort of off camera to on camera.
Yeah. The next bit of trivia I have here is a poster for director Rob Reiner's previous film. This is Spinal Tap from 1984. Hangs on the closet in Gibbs' dorm room. I'm sure that was done on purpose. Well done, Rob. Many critics have likened this film to be a modern update of It Happened One Night. We've discussed that, from 1934. And Gib is seen wearing a green and gold Kangaroos jersey of the Australian National Rugby League team of that era.
I totally didn't realize that. But anyway, there you go. Now I know.
In Ivy Leagues, rugby is very popular, but it's really popular in Australia. And I found out doing some trivia that the Kangaroos are the most successful rugby team in Australia. They've won over 12 titles.
You can get one of those tops.
There you go. Maybe I should.
Maybe you should.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
Christmas is coming.
Included among the American Film Institute 2002 list of 400 movies nominated for the top 100 America's greatest love story movies. I'm not surprised by that. Yeah, I mean, you definitely feel it when they are, close at the end there, and it just feels real. It really does. Now, I love this one here, guys. I'm gonna oh yeah, what's that?
So back to the shotgunning a beer.
Yes.
And the whole alcohol thing, which to me was one of the things that, being a 5-year-old woman now and adulting and remembering the 80s, like the alcohol at the beginning party, at the dorms, shotgunning a beer, going to the bar, and at the end, you're like, how do these kids have access? Well, I double checked it because I'm that nerdy. So in July 1984, the legislation was passed where states had to comply and raise the drinking age to 21 across the board, or they would lose 10% of their highway funds. Oh. And all 50 states were not in compliance until 1988. So during this time, and if you think this was released in March of 85, this is the crap that runs through my fucking head.
This is really weird trivia.
Right? If you think about it, if you're watching it, and like nowadays people are like, why are they drinking so much? They're all underage. And it's like, no, they're in that gray area. So if this movie came out March of 85 and you're thinking, okay, this has already happened, so it happened in December of 84, they're in that gray area where some states, as you're traveling cross country, allow the beer drinking. I mean, I was in New York in 88.
Yeah, you got to be careful what state you're in when it comes to those laws. Lacey, you had a quick question before you get to the next one?
Also with that, the people who were of age were grandfathered in until they were 18 or until they were 21. Also, that's why up until about 5 years ago, Louisiana had the worst roads in the country because they didn't get the funding for their roads. They kept it. They were the last state to hold out.
Let's get into the last bit of trivia here, and this is one of my favorites here. When Gib and Allison are on the library roof, Allison says that when she was 6, she wanted to be a princess. Well, Daphne Zuniga played the princess in Spaceballs in 1987, so she got her wish. Lacey?
That line is the only complaint I have about this movie.
Really?
She looks at him and she goes, "You'd never guess what I wanted to be when I was a kid." And it's like every child, every little girl wants to be a princess. That's the first thing I would say. That's the only line in the movie where I'm just like, no. I'm fine. It'll be okay.
All right. Well, let's get into some of our favorite scenes and quotes. And we're going to start with quotes first. And now, married to my lovely wife here, I can guarantee you she can quote this movie back and forward. So I don't want to go an hour on this, but I want to give you the table here because you came in here while I was finishing up notes and the thing was playing. You were quoting and quoting and quoting. Give me some of your favorites.
Well, there's ones I use in life. So there's the, when they're discussing about when they're going to get together to do some of the helping out with these English paper. And she's like saying, 8 o'clock is like dinner and at 9 o'clock is bed. And then she turns to him and she's like, oh, that's the time I rearrange my stock drawer. And I have used that on everyone. Anyone asks me, I go, that's when they rearrange.
I've heard that a few times. I'm just saying.
Also, my favorite is the truck driver, who was a guy from Friends, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. I have his name a little bit later, but yes, he was in Friends.
Yeah, he was in Friends.
Yeah, Mr. Heckles. Mr. Heckles.
But he's when he because and this is what I love about this film because he's a truck driver, But he turns to Gib right at the end when he lets him off, and he goes, "I hope you fully appreciate the magnitude of your impending good fortune." And it's just beautifully spoken, and that has just been, that's in my head. The one where
he was living vicariously through him. That's why.
I know, but that's not what a truck driver says.
I know.
And then there's the scene where, I mean, look, I know we're going to talk about later, but Tim Robbins, hello, which it took me years to work out who it was, right? And Gary Cooper, but not the Gary Cooper that's
Not
dead.
the dead one.
And then there's that bit where they get pulled over, and the cop's going through all the things that they've done, and Gib sticks his head out and says, "And driving with the load not properly tied down." I mean, there's
talk about throwing him underneath the truck.
It's
there,
just like consider outer space. Gib incoming. I'm going to have to hand it over because I could keep going. And this is
at the time, Daphne Nuziga's load wasn't that big.
Let me get my one or two in here real quick. I want to mention this one here when it's raining and they're trying to pick they have the padlock trailer trying to get in there.
Credit card.
It says, "Oh, you've got a credit card." And Gib goes, "Really? Do you have a credit card?" And she goes, "Oh, but my dad told me specifically I can only use it in case of an emergency." And it's pouring down rain on his face. And he goes, "Well, maybe one will come up." Lacey, what you got? What's some of your favorite lines?
While that line in that scene is fantastic, my favorite line in that scene is where he's like, no, credit cards for a totally different kind of lock. Oh, yeah. Pay attention. There's so many fun ones. When he's at the party and he's like, "Look at me." He starts something about I don't even think I've got the thing right, but he was talking about like, I look like a Hawaiian. I can't remember what he said, but it was like, it would not be appropriate to say now because it was rude, but I like spit my drink out. Like it was just, oh, okay. Because true.
Jennifer, what do you got?
So my favorite one, because this would be me, because I'm 100% that bitch. You're flunking English and it's your mother tongue. Like, so many guys, like not just mostly guys in high school that like literally, can we like a little more effort on the English language, please? Because it is your fucking mother tongue. Like that when I roll up and I can't roll off the couch because of the rotator cuff surgery, but oh my God, I'm like, I'm surprised I don't remember that one from when I watched it in the 80s because I totally do that to people. Like they talk about grammar Nazis and English Nazis and all this. I'm like, that's pretty much you're flunking English and it's your mother tongue.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
The line in this movie, in the scene that I wish I would have adopted when I was in school, is this scene right here when he's late for the class and he says, "I'm sorry, I'm late. There was a big problem and I'm late because of it."
I've used that one again. So there was a problem.
So ambiguous and so vague.
The other one too, there's a couple here, is I love it when he's flirting with that girl in the beginning, a cosmic Adam and Eve, if you will, bound together by fate, situated in the most powerful rocket yet known to man. Its giant thrusters blasting them into the dark void as they hurl towards their final destination and gushing wellspring of life itself. She's entranced. How would you like to have a sexual encounter so intense it conceivably change your political views? Would you like to dance? Yes, please.
I will also give credit to the boyfriend, Daphne Zuniga's boyfriend, when she has her little rant or whatever, and he starts out by saying, "How do you know that he snores? How do you know when he has a record? How do you know when he does?" He just gets like slightly higher and higher and higher.
Realizing something, yeah, is going on.
The line where she's like, "Let's just do something crazy," and he's like, "I know, I can spot you 50 points. That'll be really good." And you're just like, oh no, oh honey, oh.
The last one I want to mention real quick is that Lance's frat brother goes 3,000 miles just to get laid. I really respect that. All right, guys, let's get into our favorite scenes. I mean, there's a lot to get into here too, but I'm going to give the floor to my lovely wife, Erin. Erin, give me some of your favorite scenes.
Oh God, it's the whole movie. I can't. Look, I think the car and getting in the car and the show tunes and Aquarius is never going to be the same. So when they start singing, I think that is just, and all of that.
I have to showcase this one.
Oh, yes. And then because I was such a fan, an old boyfriend of mine going back 30 years ago had this and got me, and I've still got it, where he's sitting in the room.
It's the shark toy that is a little grabber.
And what I love about this scene is that she's on the phone to Jason and he's in the background and he's not sitting there. He's talking to the shark and he's going, I dropped it. I love you. I love you. And if you watch it, he's sitting there talking to this thing. And so I've had this for 30 years.
If you're listening to the audio podcast, Erin actually has the prop with her,
Yeah,
with the shark in it.
And he's talking to it. And it's just, he's not even in focus. He's sitting in the background talking to this shark. So I've had that. I have to say, I'm a big fan of them when he goes to the bar and the guy says, he got ID, and then he throws him, oh, are you 21 or something? And then he looks at the ID and goes, here you go, Dr. Langdon. And they start singing my favorite Christmas song of all time, Chestnuts Roasting. And then he walks back and he tries to, he's drunk and he tries to like juggle and then he hits the thing on his head. And I love it when she's trying to pull the beer away and his hand runs across to try and grab it. And he's saying, Ma, I'll put the bins out in the morning. All of it. I don't have favorites. All of it. And there's so many. You guys pick it. But the whole thing from start to finish is favorite for me. So there you go.
All right, Jen, I'm going to go to you. What are some of your favorite scenes?
So the pink snowball that is... So I have an affinity for those things.
Aren't they good? Oh my God.
Good. And I haven't eaten them in years, but I saw that. I'm like, oh, he's got taste. Cause like those are delicious. And that was when she's in the pool swimming and he's going on this soliloquy that is comparable to something Shakespeare did. I mean, it's just on and on. And it's so funny because when I was watching that, I'm like, oh, how interesting. He plays football, which is a team sport, and he's very active. And then her being complete opposite in a swimming pool swimming, not a lot of team interaction while you're swimming because you might die because you get water in your lungs and drown. But it's just that whole separation. But when he's just going on and on how his life is going to be horrible because through every fault of his own, he's flunking in English, his mother tongue. And if she doesn't help him, and he's just like how horrible his life is going.
I wonder how much of that he got, like he read the script, but then he also did a little bit of improv,
But it's like the length of it is like that
window.
But that it's got that Seth MacFarlane, when Seth MacFarlane has a tendency to take things.
Yeah.
And take them until they're uncomfortable and then take 20 more steps to make it even more uncomfortable. And it's like, okay, got it. You can stop now. You can stop. Okay, done. I love that. I love that.
Good stuff. Lacey, what about you? What were some of your favorite scenes?
Okay, so one thing that I loved about the football, like into the pool scene, is if you notice, he's dressed like Waldo. I'm just saying, like at the very beginning of this movie, when he first like makes that conversation with her in the pool area, and then after that he goes on a road trip and kind of finds himself. I'm sorry, that's what went through my head when I was like, oh, he was dressed like Waldo earlier.
Well, you got deep there.
I don't know. It was weird. Whatever. Also, in that scene, something from the commentary on the wall behind it said like "Happy Birthday, Coach" something, and apparently like the production designer or somebody that like. Or not production designer. It was not done by themselves. The costumers, that was her name and it was her birthday that day. And so they put up a giant thing and called her Coach so that they could say happy birthday to her during the scene. Okay. The snowball thing, that's one of my favorite things too. Specific number one, I feel like we're sharing a brain here because I love the snowballs, right? But the fact that he takes a bite, first of all, this is in the 80s and it's pre-HIV, right? Because everyone is like handing each other food that they've eaten off of. He's picking up drinks. Like the guy hands him a beer as he's walking past and he's just like, oh, okay. And starts drinking it. Like half a beer that some rando just handed him on the sidewalk. So, but he takes a bite of it and offers it to her. When she says no, he puts it in his pocket, like
Yes.
in his jacket, but does not put it back in the wrapper.
Who knows what's been in those pockets? Because he's a boy.
Exactly. And that's the funny, in my opinion, that's the funniest part of that scene. And it's just this tiny little thing. And you know that it was something he did off the top of his head. He was probably like, well, where do I put this? Okay, I'll stick it in.
But then doesn't he chug a beer and then have some pork rinds?
Yeah,
complete road trip food.
Yeah, it's like road food, whatever. And that's, for me, that little tiny little thing, that little tiny little piece that he put there is what made it so funny.
That's good stuff.
And then in the car, when they get picked up, when she's pretending to be pregnant, and the woman's like, "What do you want to name him?" And she's like, "Oh, Elliot," or whatever. And he's like, "What? No, Nick. You want Nick? And Nick is a guy's guy. Nick is a guy who'll win his car. Nick is a guy."
He'll let you puke in his car. Excuse me, vomit.
You won't care if you puke in his car. Yes, that's a great thing. He
taps the woman after, and he goes, "Oh, sorry, vomit."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I love the bit where he's making her pregnent, and he stuffs it up, and she goes, "What do you think?" And he goes, 12 months. And she goes, like 9 months. He goes, more like 15.
Yes.
And that woman who's driving the car during that whole scene, the Elliot eats paste scene.
Yep.
I believe that was the woman that was in the back of the cab at the beginning of Stripes.
I don't remember that, but
Right
I'll
on.
trust in that. Yeah,
that is
definitely a character actor we've seen for a long time.
But I was like, wait a minute, that's the woman from Stripes who gets pissed off when he pulls the cab over on the bridge and just goes off, and she's like, "What's your number?"
I want to get mine in real quick here before we move on. Here is I love the scene I'm showing here on the screen here where he plays crazy to get her out of that car with the creepy guy. But what's funny is watching Daphne's face. You could tell she's like trying not to crack up in front of the guy that's like threatening to rape her, basically. And you could tell he's just ripping. What's that?
Not threatening, attempting.
Yeah. I thought that was a really good scene. The other thing I want to mention too, I love the football scene, especially when Daphne's friend mentions, "Yeah, but he's got a cute butt," and he's being very funny about playing football and stuff. I think my two favorite scenes though are when they're in the car. This is after the snowball scene, and the guy, you see the guy's mooning with that big hairy butt. And she's like, "Oh, that's gross." And he's like challenging her, like,
"Repress.
Yes. And she says, "I'll show you her present." She flashes, and then that's what gets them pulled over, which is a funny scene there too.
She takes her bra completely off. She doesn't lift the bra.
Yes.
She takes the whole thing off, and she's like, "How's this, boy?" And I was like,
"Come to mama, boys."
The other scene I really like too is the roof scene where she's mentioning about how she wants to be a princess, and then he starts going into his little monologue, and then he comes onto her, and she like pushes him down, and he falls down, and she goes, "Oh my God, are you all right?" He goes, "Yes," and then she kicks him.
Then apparently my shove didn't apply the amount of pressure I needed.
Good stuff. And then I love the truck driver scene too. That one was just great. So yeah, good stuff there. We could go on about that, but yeah. I want to get into the cast and crew discussion here, guys, because I think there's some crew and some cast here. Of course, we've got Rob Reiner, as we know, and I got this great black and white picture that was taken on the set here with Rob Reiner and the main cast. But we're going to touch on Rob Reiner a little bit later and more on John Cusack. But I wanted to kind of get your guys' thoughts on the rest of the crew and if anyone that stood out to you. Aaron, I'm going to go to you first.
Oh, I think all the leads are fantastic. But I also think all those, like, as I said, Tim Robbins, who I just don't think gets mentioned enough. And then his wife was a girl who did a lot of Rob Reiner films. She's in When Harry Met Sally. I can't remember her name, but it's Tim Robbins, and you just don't realize it's him. I love the truck driver. I love the English teacher. She was a very famous actress at the time. I can't remember her name. I'm dreadful. But I mean, even the guys in the bar, cowboy guy, and they're just
the chubby guy who's drunk, and he
even the waitress who just gives him like rolls the eyes. And I think everybody, Anthony Edwards was playing the fun hot guy, which he had been the nerdy guy, but now he's the hot guy, and he was great, and you still like Lance. he wasn't that obnoxious. He's just,
No.
and I could imagine them being quite good friends because they would have just played off each other. And as I said, they had a great friendship because they stayed in touch, which I always thought was quite, amazing that, come out and visit.
As a reminder, we should name some of the people here. So other than John and Daphne, we have Nicolette Sheridan, of course, as the Sure Thing. Vivica Lindfors as the Professor. Anthony Edwards as Lance. Tim Robbins as Gary Cooper, not the one who's dead. Boyd Gaines as Jason. Lisa Jane Persky as Marianne Webster. Carmine Philpy as the bus station bum. He's been in like a bunch of stuff. Fran Ryan is the lady in the car. Larry Hankin is the trucker. Sarah Buxton is Sharon, and Robert Maurer as Moke.
Who was his friend?
That was, I believe that is Boyd Gaines. I think that's the one, the roommate one.
Yeah.
The one where he's having sex. And
no, that's Jason.
Oh, is that Jason? That's interesting.
No, the friend who, and just that scene of him writing to Playboy. And they're writing about, how do you spell zucchini? Oh my God. And then he turned around and goes, now, what do you think is this an opening line? Did you know that Nietzsche had syphilis?
Zucchini wrong.
Jen, what are some of your other favorite cast members in this movie?
Anthony Edwards, obviously, with the upgrade since Revenge of the Nerds. Daphne Zuniga and her friend that she's talking, like, she's like, he's very, like, John Cusack's character is very social and has a lot of friends, and it seems like she's just friends with her one friend in college. But I think Nicolette Sheridan to me was so surprising when I said earlier, you anticipate being a sure thing, that tag, aka slut. She has a very innocent quality about her, and when she's in the bikini in the beginning, you don't see that, but when she's at the party and she's kind of softened up, and you see that she's she's just kind of maybe finding herself and on the same kind of journey that he's on. So I was really surprised by her character in that. Like, I thought it was a nice.
Whose character?
Nicolette Sheridan. The Sure Thing. She's actually only known as the Sure Thing.
Well,
her character. Like, if you look at the bottom right of the screen, how she's softened up compared to the white bikini scenes, which was very reminiscent of Christy Brinkley in National Lampoon's Vacation. And that kept popping in my head every time she was in that white bikini. I'm like, okay.
Well, I think it's because that's all fantasy until he meets her.
Yeah.
And again, he's now changed and he's got feelings for someone else. And so she's not really, she's sort of, I think they're both coming going, don't we?
I was wondering when to bring this in, and I'll bring it in now. And Lacey, I'll get to your picks in a second here. But before I forget, one thing I wanted to mention about the Nicolette Sheridan character that is one of my favorites is that you get all of the fantasy scenes with her, right? Which aren't realistic, but this is something that's going through Gibbs' head. But when you actually meet her as her, she's actually a really sweet person. And I like the fact that this movie was smart about that. Didn't like make her dumb, didn't make her, like better than anyone else. She was actually a very sweet person. And actually there was a scene in the film where I was kind of like, Gib was kind of a jerk to her, where he kind of does the hand motion, like wait or go away while he's trying to figure out his emotions. And she seems genuinely interested in him, and she's very sweet. They didn't like dumb her down at all, and I really like that. So she had like a dual role with this. Lacey, your thoughts?
Okay, so the best friend of Allison's character is just known as Allison's friend. That is Tracy Reiner. That is Penny Marshall's daughter, whom Rob Reiner, when he was married to Penny Marshall, he adopted her.
She was in the League of Her Own. She was the one in that, one of my favorite scenes of when the guy turns up and they're in the locker room, and it has whose husband has died, and they walk through and Tom Hanks rips it out of his hand. And I'll cry now because it literally makes me cry. And you walk through and it was her husband that had passed away in that scene. And I always remember for that.
Go on. Who else did you like, Lacey?
Well, okay. I love Nicolette Sheridan. I love her in all the things. She's in my very favorite comedy of all time, which is Noises Off, with the most astounding cast of comedians that I've ever seen. And I didn't know who she was until I saw
John Ritter's in that, right?
John Ritter, Christopher
Yeah.
Reeve,
Yeah.
so many people, Denholm Elliott, Michael Caine,
Yeah, great cast.
everybody, Carol Burnett, Mary Lou Henner, Nicolette Sheridan, Balky from, or no, Larry
Gotcha.
from
Yeah.
all the things. Anyway, so I loved her. Didn't know who she was. Because I recognized everybody else on the poster. Like I recognized, all the way down. That's the only name I didn't recognize. I was like, okay, whatever. She's one of my favorite characters in that movie. Absolutely hilarious. I went back and started kind of going through her dossier or whatever you want to call it. I loved her in Desperate Housewives, and I think I must have just missed this one because she's very, she has like 3 lines or something. She's not a huge character. She's the character. She has an impact on the film, but she doesn't have a lot of lines. But I think she's kind of perfect for the role. In the commentary, Rob Reiner says that he met her while doing Spinal Tap because she was dating Leif Garrett at the time.
Oh, wow.
And so he called her, his somehow got in touch, and she came in, and he was like, he did the audition with her where he was like, I'm going to need to, I need to see you in a bathing suit. I'm sorry. And he was very apologetic, and he was very uncomfortable with the concept. And then so uncomfortable, in fact, that when he said, you've got the job, you're great. And then he actually, all these scenes where she's on the beach, where she had to do all the shots for the poster and all the little,
right.
He had a second unit do it because he was too embarrassed to tell her to
oh, wow.
and things like that. He was like, I can't, I feel like it's just too exploitative, which just makes me love Rob Reiner even more.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Because he's just, one of you just want to just give him the hugs. But yeah, so love her. She's hilarious. I think everyone was really well cast. I just got to go back to the boyfriend, Jason Boyd something. What did we say his name was? He's not anything like this character, and he just did it so well.
Boyd Gaines is Jason.
Gotcha. Gaines, yeah, that's right. So, and when I saw this, it reminded me of Dee Dee Pfeiffer's boyfriend from The All Nighter. But without like the and this is such a great, he was so good in that role. Don't get me wrong, I love all the other ones too, but I think those two kind of characters are really my favorites.
I want to give a shout out to Larry Hankin as the trucker, also known as Mr. Heckles and Friends, just because he was like, when he found out what Boyd was happening, what was going to him, he's living vicariously through him. He's like, I'm going to get you there. You just got to pay for the tickets. And then he has that great quote at the end. And I loved him as the trucker in this. And it was a really, really good character moment for me. Jen.
Go back one slide to the English teacher, Vivica Lindfors.
Yes.
Catherine Langford Stargate, the original movie.
That's right. Thank you. I knew she looked familiar. Well,
and she's got her aesthetic with her costume.
I feel like she's wearing the same necklace she was wearing.
She's wearing this, it's
probably
the same look. It's the same highly intelligent female as an English professor or a professor of Egyptology. I know exactly who you are. It's Catherine
She's
Langford.
the teacher you wanted.
Yeah.
She's that sort of hippie.
Go live. Go have sex. Go have fun. You're young.
Make love in a hammock, So yeah.
Can you? What was after hammock? I need to write that down. What was after hammock?
Just a couple little bit of trivia on the casting here, guys. Is we mentioned, of course, that Anthony Edwards originally auditioned for the role of Gib, but lost out to that. Robin Wright unsuccessfully auditioned for the title role, but director Rob Reiner was impressed with her acting range, so she was hired for projects long dreamed of making The Princess Bride. Shout out to Santa Barbara as Kelly as well. So the Kelly Capwell.
Kelly Capwell, first episode. Remember that?
And this is the movie debut of Nicolette Sheridan. So here's a fun one, guys. We like to combine these two together here. The Zoolander, they look so hot right now. Favorite costume or fashion moment, or the Vanilla Ice Cool as Ice award to the most dated thing or person in this film. Lacey, looks like you want to go first. Go.
Every single shirt that Anthony Edwards wears was both 1980s calling for its clothing back.
That was my vote there. Anthony Edwards.
Every single thing you see him wearing.
You had those shorts.
Okay, hold on real quick. He's wearing OP, Ocean Pacific shorts. That was confirmed by the costume designer.
Yep.
and Japanese stuff was a thing to throw in.
Yep.
The glasses that he's wearing, and that he mentions that he's calling on a cordless.
Yep. And even when you get through into like the hula party, like the stuff that he's has underneath the hula outfit,
Yeah.
everything he wears in this is just so. Oh, and then the one thing for Cusack would be wearing the leather jacket in the pool. The leather jacket in the pool, like
Yeah.
when he was in the pool lounger, and apparently that was like an afterthought from the original sequence. He wasn't supposed to have the jacket, but they said that when they filmed it without the jacket, it just felt like a regular scene. It didn't have anything like dream-like in it, other than the fact that this woman was just like, sure, you know. But so he said, well, wait a second, hold on. And he grabbed the jacket and did it, and they were like, okay, definitely perfect.
Yeah.
So
good. Jen, what about you? What give me your Zoolander, they look so hot right now, favorite costume, or what's dated to you?
Okay, so they're both. It's like, can it be both? Yes, it can, because that pool outfit that Anthony Edwards was wearing when he's calling from the cordless, I was like, oh my God, so 80s. Oh my God, did we actually do that? Yes, we did. So bad. I was like, oh my God. Like it for those of us that were there, it just shoots you right back.
Especially the checkered design that the OP shirts are.
I knew someone who had them.
We had the checkered shirts, the checkered ties. I mean, it was such a thing. I actually have that suit.
The only thing that would make this more 80s would be that if there was like a hypercolor shirt laying on a chaise lounge.
Yeah.
Somewhere else. The ones where when they got wet, the different colors came out.
Yeah.
And if you have any millennials or beyond that watch this, those OP shorts were like the precursor to the Zubaz pants craze with all of the colors.
Okay.
But I believe Vanilla
Jen,
Ice is wearing in that still that you showed.
Jen, you're killing it on the references there. That's great.
Right. I got a million of them.
Aaron, what about you? What to you is the best costume or dated thing for you?
Well, I mean, I think it's quite neutral. Like compared to some of the movies like Pretty in Pink and I mean even like Valley Girl, which was I think more. This is actually quite neutral for 80s. Some of the hair is there because there's perms and stuff, but literally, other than Anthony Edwards, I think that like she looks like a girl you'd see on the beach now.
You mean
the white bikini?
Oh, you mean Nicolette Sheridan?
Yeah, and then they, of course, they went to the college thing, so they're just wearing jumpers and jeans. So I find it very 80s because it's more rooted in natural, like it's not hyper that some of the other films were, that they really pushed to have the different sort of classes and stuff like that. I love Gib's outfit. It's just so Gib.
You made a comment about his pants because those kind of cargo-y military pants tucked in do the peg leg look. So I did the peg leg. I did too.
But no one's got a mullet. He's got normal hair. Do you know what I mean?
He's got kind of the part down the middle sometimes too.
Yeah.
That was a very 80s
but
thing.
To me, if you look at the picture at the top, that could be now.
True.
To me, that's not. I don't see 80s in any of that outfits there.
Yeah.
Even though it was.
I'm pretty sure he wore that same outfit with a fedora in The Journey of Natty Gann. I'm just saying.
That's it.
I mean, I think he might have put on a trench coat at some point. But if you go back to the picture of the bathing suit, apparently Rob Reiner's he had envisioned like 10 with Bo Derek and like Bolero. And so when they got the bikini, he didn't like it. He was like, no, that's not right. It has to be, because he was expecting the lines to be across.
Yeah, he didn't realize that in the 80s they brought him high up on the hips.
They got that high hip. And so it took some convincing for that to be the thing. Where he was like, oh, okay, fine, okay.
That's good stuff. All right, well, let's get into Jen, what you
real
got?
Quick. It's funny in comparing Gib and Lance in their clothes, and Gib is much more low key. So when Aaron talks about the neutrality of what he's wearing compared to what Lance is wearing, Lance is much more ebullient, much more out there. I'm out there for the babes. Like he's the life of the party. Whereas Gib is kind of, even though in at the college that he's at, he's very outgoing and off the cuff and wild. But compared to Lance, when you get them two together, their clothing choices kind of represent how they are in the relationship. And that is something that I think we're getting to clothing more detailed later.
Yeah.
But that is something that as you watch the movie and see, there's very specific choices with clothing and outfitting throughout. And it's when I talked earlier about the subtlety of taking on a road trip, but the underlying theme that's not forced on you is the romantic comedy portion. That is also executed beautifully with the various clothing choices the costume designers
she's
made.
quite drab. She's just that sort of what I call a woman with pearls.
You're talking about Daphne Zuniga,
Daphne
right?
things. Yeah. Well, yeah, but that was that time where you wore a shirt and then But then you see her a bit later on, where especially that scene where she's being pregnant. Mm-hmm. She's literally starting to get a little bit of that groovy. To me, it's something.
Yeah, well,
something that people wear today.
The costume designer mentioned too that he dressed Daphne in that kind of plum or like
the
reddish
cranberry,
color.
The cranberry color,
because it looked really good on her complexion. But the other thing too, I thought was interesting. The costume designer says they only had $10,000 for the budget for the party and costumes, and that to get around it, they actually held a costume contest for all the extras to show up in a certain style, so it saved money on that. And I thought that was really cool. And well, guys, let's go ahead and get into the next one here because we got a lot to get into here. Want to get into the Kenny Loggins or John Williams' best use of music or song in the movie. Aaron brought this to my attention at how good the music was in this, and after rewatching it, there's a lot of great scenes in this with the music, and there's a lot of great songs on here. I was wondering if there was any songs, I'm going to start with you, Aaron, that jumped out at you, maybe specifically because you liked the song, but also lent well to the scene.
Well, Infatuation. And it starts.
That's how it starts out, yeah.
You know, you've got the Eagles' Heartbreak Tonight. It's a heartbreak going into where he's going into the bar.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of the songs, especially I love the song where they're having the fight and then it turns into like he's saying, I'm not a virgin, or she says, I heard you're a virgin, and it stops. And because they're just dancing to Penny Lover, which is
that is Lionel Richie.
Yep, and then it goes into that song. So I think all the songs literally lend to the scene.
The party had Dance Hall Days by Wang Chung.
Well, you're doing Dance Hall Days.
That's
what you're doing. You're dancing.
Exactly. Yeah, I love the Infatuation by Rod Stewart. Throwing it out there. In the Heart of Rock and Roll by Huey Lewis.
Yeah.
Jennifer, what about you? Any songs that stood out you in the movie?
So what was really surprising to me in the rewatch was, so in the 80s when we were teenagers, a lot of these were the top 40. And I know for me, I was more alternative. And I know, Kevin, you were into that hairband crap, which you're still into.
Yeah, baby.
But so
Quite Right has a song in this soundtrack.
Right. So but this is a lot of this is like Casey Kasem's top 40, and it wouldn't be stuff that I was listening to K-Rock. You were probably listening to KLOS or KNAC. This would be like on Kiss FM in LA. But watching it now, like when it started out the beginning with Rod Stewart in Infatuation, and then it's like, oh, Huey Lewis. Oh my God. Like I got to the point like, oh my God, that's Wang Chung. And it's like, it again takes you right back, and it was like all of it. I'm like, it's up there with the soundtrack for Valley Girl. In the use of the music at the time was good, but like reflecting back on it, it's like, oh, it's perfect. It's well done. It's well thought out. Like it wasn't just there because this was popular at the time.
Yeah,
it worked within the confines of the movie.
Lacey, what stood out you with the soundtrack?
I loved it a second ago. You were like, okay, Jen, because you know that my music is not, I don't have that music knowledge.
I know. I don't know if something, I just had to ask you.
It's totally cool. I recognize several people on the, names. Like I know Huey Lewis, obviously. I recognize Hard Rock and Roll. And I recognize the Cars with You Might Think. But everything else, like I know who Ray Charles is. I know, obviously, Lionel Richie, Wang Chung. I know a bunch of the names. Couldn't tell you the songs to save my life. Putting a flame into my ear. No clue.
That's okay. Yeah. That's okay. All right, the next category we have here, and this is always a fun one. This was a good one for us here. The Star Wars Twin Suns favorite filming location or set piece. So I'm watching this movie for the first time in our hotel room in Florida when we were going to this Highlander convention in December of 2016. And this certain scene comes up, and it's when he's being raced down to Southern California, and he goes over a certain bridge. And I go, wait a minute. I know this bridge. Jen knows this bridge. Now we're located here in my hometown of Santa Barbara, where we're podcasting from here. And Jen's been to Santa Barbara. She's lived in Santa Barbara. She knows. And what I'm talking about, and if it's on the screen here and you're watching this, this is the Cold Springs Tavern Arch Bridge on Highway 154. And it's called that because there's a tavern just below that called Cold Springs Tavern. And it's a famous bridge. They've recently put up high fences so people can't jump off of it anymore. But here is a current picture of it. And that's a current picture of it because I took that picture. And Aaron and I have visited this bridge a few times from both different locations here. And took a picture of it. She said, that's the Sure Thing Bridge.
Yeah,
So
the Sure Thing Bridge.
wanted to just shout out the Cold Springs Tavern Arch Bridge there. But did you guys have any other filming locations throughout the movie or set pieces that you liked? Let's start with you, Lacey.
You know what? I'll say that most of the stuff for me is like just the road stuff. Like I loved how they picked the most barren highway, and they're all like 2-lane blacktops, right? They're not doing a lot of major highways and stuff. I think that the shot where they get knocked, thrown out of the car, and it's just nothing, and then the scene where they're sitting after the attempt or whatever with the evil guy, where it's just like one tree and that's it. I like the way that they kind of like made that scene feel so much more like just barren and excluded from like just they're on their own. They have nothing.
What about you, Jenna? What filming locations or scenes, set pieces you liked?
So you mentioned the Cold Springs Bridge, and I think I know that, but I believe in May of 23 when we visited, you took us there.
Yeah.
I think my hair was blue at the time, so that was May of 23 when we visited. We went to Solvang that whole time.
Yeah.
So that I like how the Ivy League college and reading the liner notes, for lack of a better term, on IMDb, and how they use a bunch of different Ivy League locations to make it look very ambiguous and to not like go, oh, that's Harvard, oh, that's Yale. But one of them was like, oh, when he's running across the quad, I had a friend that went to Cornell, and I'm like, oh, that is Cornell. I thought that was very interesting how they did that. Although I did not understand the random dog running across a quad in college, because there's not a lot of, like, now maybe, but in the 80s, probably not.
It's funny you mentioned the dog, because I noticed the USA Today newspaper stand, and I'm like, I miss those. I miss seeing those. But that's
the PT folders. The PT folders.
Oh, hold on, we'll get to that. Hold on to that. Yeah, Lacey.
Well, in the 80s on campus, you couldn't have a pet unless you were part of the fraternity. You could have pets. A lot of times they would have like their fraternity row. Each house would have their own mascot, and they'd have like, a Doberman or a, golden or whatever. Mm-hmm. A lot of
now, you mentioned something to me, Aaron, about a place that is still around, that is a location you like. Do tell.
Yeah, the bar. And it's called Tony's Place.
Tony's Place.
Still around.
Do you remember where it was? Somewhere in California, right?
Yes, Market Street, Walnut Grove.
Walnut Grove, California. Tony's Place still there.
Tony's Place still there.
That's close to us. So next visit.
I know.
I think that we need to go there, and I'll be like the chubby guy and say, I had fried food. And I know. I wasn't supposed to eat it, but I couldn't help myself.
And I'll just
meet you there.
Eyes. Yeah, with the big beehive.
Yes.
But yeah, that's in the Raider Nerds location thing. So no, one day we will go, and I loved, again, the barren places at the middle of nowhere that they, got dropped off.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, going from that sort of cold, east to the sunny California, and you can feel it. It starts off sort of cold, and they're all got the jackets on, and it gets warmer and warmer and warmer.
What Aaron is referring to is our Raider Nerd travel list of places we have yet to go to.
It's all in my Google Maps.
Well, let's get into a fun one here. The next category here, guys, is if you were a non-speaking extra on set, what scene would you want to be in? Now, keep in mind, all of us on this podcast could have been in this movie. Maybe different ages, a little different there, but we all could have been there. And so I just want to shout out here. Of course, we have the school scenes as well. We have the bar scene. We have the party scene. I was wondering, Jen, let's start with you. Where would you have liked to have been an extra in if you could have been in the Sure Thing?
So is the question, where would I have liked to have been? Or
if you were a non-speaking extra,
where would I most likely have been in 1985?
Where would you have liked to have
been? Would have been in the frat party at the end, sneaking in to drink beer. Like literally, I've been there, done that, bought the ticket, got the T-shirt. That was where I was. Like mentality in 19, like that would be where I would be.
I would agree with that. Lacey, what about you? Where would you have liked to have been an extra in this movie?
I think I probably would have been at like one of the kind of, because I would have been 12, I guess, or well, I would have been 11 while filming. So I would have been like in a restaurant, just in a background or something. Like I couldn't have been in a bar. I couldn't have been.
If you were of age, you could.
But if I was of age,
fudge your age a little bit here.
I
would have.
Yeah. Okay. I would love to have been in the Hawaiian thing. That just seems like there would have been a lot
party
of
scene. Yeah.
The frat party at the end.
Yeah. I am a corner lurker. Like I would have found the dog and just chilled out with the dog and just like watched all the crazy. Like that to me is a fun time.
Gotcha. Aaron, where would you have liked to have been an extra in this movie?
Well, I like the party scene, but I also like the English class because it would just been fun.
Yeah.
It was a fun English class, and being in it, just watching them do the English class on the both scenes that they do, because it just would have been hysterical.
Yeah, it was be good. Yeah. I would have loved to have been that scene too. There's some great scenes. I also would have loved to have been like walking along the campus during the football scene too. I think that might have been fun. But
you could have been the guy that didn't have one word.
There you go.
The one who keeps, he keeps threatening.
Yes. All right. Here's another fun one here, guys. This is, you are an extra. You're friends with the on-set prop master. They say you can take one thing home from the set. What prop are you taking? I'm going to start off by here. Aaron, I know you would take.
Yes, I've already got it.
You would take the little shark toy with the jaw.
Sharky toy.
Yeah, there you go.
My friend gave me. I've had that since 90.
You've had this since the
90s.
92. Wow.
91. I've had it.
She brought this over from Australia for this podcast. Just so you know.
I've still got it. I've had it. That's how long he gave it to me.
I love the TSA explanation that you're going to be bound to have to give when you're on your way home.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of his peachy folder. There's two things in this I want. I want the peachy folder because, and Jen, I'm going to have you go next here because I know as an American, and I'm sure you too know, Lacey, that the peachy folder was, everyone had them, and it was how you could deface them, make them more creative, put your band names on them. And I would love to have that peachy folder. And of course, I would love to have his leather jacket as well. That would be my choice. But Jen, what about you? What would you like to take from the prop master?
All of the peachy folders. Because not only could you deface them, but when you open them up, they had the sheet charts. So it talked about quarts to gallons to cups to ounces to Fahrenheit to centigrade to the whole metric system. Like when you open that up, you had all of those stuff right there at you. The love, and that is an item that literally dates this movie. Like,
yes,
you see that and you know exactly what, like, I don't even think they were in Valley Girl, even when they were in school. But like this, flat out 80s.
True.
Loved it. Loved it.
What about you, Lacey? What prop would you like to take home?
I'd like to go on record as saying I've never heard of a peachy folder.
Yeah,
No,
no,
really?
we didn't have them either.
No clue.
Maybe it was like a
California.
West Coast thing. Maybe I don't know.
It could have been.
No, because he was in the East Coast.
Well, hold
doing
on. I know, but a lot of this was filmed in the West Coast, though. So
Yeah.
maybe
So
that's
I mean,
it.
I was in Atlanta until recently.
Maybe they aged out before you got it. Maybe I don't know.
I was 73. I don't know. So I don't know. But I will say I liked the red and white striped shirt. I remember all of the old it's a brand name and they were like just those awesome rugby shirts. And I think I had a dozen of them and they were so comfortable and they were long sleeve with a collar. So I could get away with wearing them at like family stuff when we had to go to dinner and stuff because I'm a t-shirt girl, right? So if it had a collar, I'd be fine. So like the green one with Australia on it, that's an actual rugby shirt, I think.
Yeah, that's the Kangaroos jersey right there. We're
but like the red and
showcasing
white
that.
stripe one, and they were kind of famous for having like the 4-block chunk squares, like just different colors and stuff like that. I loved those old rugby shirts. As far as like an actual prop though, maybe the snowball.
I like it. Now, Aaron, go ahead. What's that, Jen?
I agree with the snowball as well.
Okay. You brought this to my attention. This is something also because when I asked Aaron, I'm like, Aaron, what would you be taking? He's like, oh yeah, it's one of the shirts that he's wearing, and we brought it up before. This is the Dwight D. Eisenhower, Ike, and Tina Turner shirt here. What's funny is you can find these on the internet. They exist. I found this picture on the right if you're watching it, and they talked about how they found the original shirt on some store down on Melrose during this time. So that was one of yours, right? Yeah.
I've seen one that's similar that has a picture of Eisenhower and then Ginger from Gilligan's Island.
Nice.
that says Ike and Tina. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get that jersey when I'm in Australia.
You don't have to
yeah.
now.
Yeah. I got to get the Kangaroos rugby jersey there. So, all right, let's get into the next category here, guys. And this is Lacey. This is a Lacey question. We have now added this to the category here on Couch Potato Theaters. The Lacey question: who would you have lunch or dinner with between takes or at the wrap party, or who would you avoid? Lacey, you of course created this topic here. You get to go first.
You know what? I would have ended up just having conversations. I always find the elder statesman, right? The professor, I would have sat down and just said, like, tell me all the things, just as far as, acting, career stuff, because they always have the best stories. I worked with David Carradine and I have learned things that I can never repeat. He was hilarious. Like I always find the older folks who have, kind of been around and seen all the things and get the stories.
Gotcha. All right. Jen, what about you? Who would you like to have lunch or dinner with between takes or the wrap party, or anyone you avoid?
So it would be patently obvious who I would be having lunch and dinner with and trying to get in his pants.
Yeah, that's because, but then you'd have to fight me.
I know.
Hold on. You guys haven't said a name yet. Who are we talking about?
John Cusack.
Okay.
Hello. Oh,
wow.
Hello.
Wow.
Tim
Are you
Robbins.
sure you're not a dumb blonde, Kevin? Because
I know, but for the listeners, we need to say names here. So there you go.
John Cusack, Aaron, we could be a throuple. It'd be awesome.
There you go. Oh, that's
see?
I'm sorry. Wait, what did you just say?
I said we could be a throuple, not a couple, but a throuple.
I love it. That's great.
I like that better than tripod. That's weird.
Exactly. It's a throuple. And then I would probably avoid
the human centipede. That's one of the.
Oh, my wife, the horror fan.
I would avoid, and I don't mean to be a poet, but I would avoid Boyd just because maybe he's a really nice guy, but his character with like, I'll spot you 50 points in Gin Rummy, I would like literally
He eats paste.
Be taking the rope and hanging myself like the whole time in Airplane when Stryker is trying to kill him. Like that would literally be me, like setting myself on fire, all the people around him, committing Harry Carey, hanging myself with a rope. You're boring, dude. You're boring. So that's who I would avoid.
What about anyone else other than the sandwich that you and Jen would have with John Cusack? Anyone else in the cast you'd like to
hang
hear?
out with Anthony Edwards?
Okay.
I think they'd all be fun to hang out with. And you know what? I'd be singing show tunes with Tim Roth.
Tim Robbins. Yeah.
Tim Robbins.
Tim
there you
Roth,
go.
completely
Although
different.
I would also
Tim Roth.
sing show tunes with Tim Roth. Like he seems like he'd be like badass, but also like have that fun side. Like I would totally sing show tunes with Tim Roth.
Okay, so
Are we in Tim Roth or Tim Roth?
No, you said Tim Roth. I'm just saying, like that aside, yes, Tim Robbins is great, but I would also sing show tunes with Tim Roth. I think he'd be good at it. Yeah, he'd be fun.
okay, I want to ask you guys, since you all know me in different ways, who do you think I would want to spend time with, either during the shooting or at the wrap party?
Rob Reiner.
Jen?
Nicolette Sheraton if she had bigger boobs.
No,
Aaron?
it's Tunica.
Yeah, no, I think Nicolette Sheridan.
Lacey is correct. Rob Reiner. Because I would be intimidated going up to Nicolette Sheridan because she's gorgeous. But I want to hang out with Rob Reiner just because of what he had just done with Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
But how he goes from what Meatloaf, was all in the family. Meathead, yeah. Meatloaf. That's a singer, yeah. This guy has just become one of the most iconic directors of all time, and that will get us into the next category here, which is the Titanic I'm King of the World career moment. Was an actor in this movie at top of their career, or director, or anything else from this movie that's trendworthy? And I want to start off with Rob Reiner discussion here, guys, because I'm a huge fan of him and his films, and I'm going to just give you his 1984 to 95 IMDb list here. I think one or two I omitted, but these are the noteworthy ones. He does Spinal Tap, he does The Sure Thing, Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men, and American President in 1995. That is a hell of a run for any director, and all of these movies are so good in so many ways and still stand the test of time. And we want to get your guys' thoughts on Rob Reiner, and I want to start with you, Lacey.
Am I on mute? Let me see.
No, you're good. We can hear you.
I love Rob Reiner. Now, my love of Rob Reiner, I love Carl Reiner, his father, and he, so I've kind of Rob Reiner, Carl Reiner, Penny Marshall, Gary Marshall. There's this kind of group, right, where they all whether they were married to each other or siblings or parents, like there's kind of a group right there of, like, I love all four of them so much. I will watch all of the things, and a lot of them did a lot of work with Henry Winkler, whom I also love. And so, but Rob Reiner, I mean, Princess Bride forever will be just, that's like my bucket list is a first edition copy of the book, The Princess Bride by William Goldman. So that's kind of but so he's done so many, like, kind of iconic, but well done iconic, not cult classic, but they also go into cult classic, like,
So, well, let me ask you real quick, because I'm going to ask everyone this.
Sure.
In this run here, which one's your favorite Rob Reiner film?
Oh man, I don't want to pick. Like, I just don't want to pick. Like, they're all just so fun. I would say that likely it's hard. It's hard. It's too hard.
Bride?
It's got, I mean, that's going to be up top. Princess Bride will be in the top 3. I think that probably, I will say one thing that y'all are all going to hate, and that's that Spinal Tap wasn't my vibe. Like, it's just never been my thing. I watched it. It was funny, but I don't go back to it over and over again like a lot of people do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's what. Jen, what about you? This run here by Rob Reiner. What's your thoughts on his run here, and which one is your favorite of his? Princess
Bride.
Yep.
Like, saw that, then went and got the book and read the book and thought, oh my God, like, there's so much in the book that, like, he captures a lot of it in the movie, but there's so much in the book. And Lacey's shaking her head because she's read the book, so she knows exactly what I'm talking about. Italics. So, but his run was great, and it was, from where he was as meathead on All in the Family, to what he's become and what he was able to do, it was a great run. And but for me, the pinnacle of that run was Princess Bride.
Gotcha.
He also he was in the perfect position because his father was an actor. He grew up in Los Angeles and Hollywood, being on sets and watching films and writing screenplays and little short films and stuff like that. Ends up marrying Penny Marshall and her brother, and then, of course, and so he has this amazing, talented group of people to pull from. Like he uses the same people a lot.
Yeah.
You know, he always wants to find that right person for that role, and he can do things like call Princess Leia and be like, "Hey, I need you to play like a ornery little," you know, like he's great. Yeah.
No, you're great point. Aaron, of this run here, what are your comments on Rob Reiner, and which one of these is your favorite?
Well, they're all amazing. Actually, you don't have to say I've never seen American President.
Okay.
I don't know why I haven't, but I just haven't. The rest I've seen, this is Spinal Tap is amazing, but got overdone in just growing up, and it was always played. Not as badly as the Blues Brothers, because I hate that film with a fiery passion, but I have seen, I can see Lacey dying now. I hate that film. I hate it. But I do enjoy Spinal Tap, but to me, I don't need to.
Oh, there's so many pop cultural references to it too. So
that's funny bits. Of course, The Sure Thing's the first thing. Literally just under it, When Harry Met Sally. That's another film that I can go back. I've watched it 1,000 times, quoting. Carrie Fisher is amazing in it. She has so many good lines, especially about a red pump. And so I love that film. I also love A Few Good Men. Love A Few Good Men. That's a rewatchable film for me. And the rest, I mean, I'm not a massive Princess Bride fan.
Yep, I knew that.
Don't
so
worry,
your
I've
favorite
never
is The Sure Thing?
The Sure Thing, just under When Harry Met Sally, and then A Few Good Men.
So
and I love the others. Good.
So let me put my 2 cents in here, Lacey. I'll get to you in a second here. The Spinal Tap for me is a perfect film. The Princess Bride is one of those that's also a perfect film, and I've seen The Princess Bride so many times. But what's so funny, though, the one that I have watched the most of this list here when it comes to Spinal Tap, Sure Thing, Stand By Me, Princess Bride, Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men, American President is actually American President. I've watched that so many times over the last 15 years, and especially during certain times of the political era, which it is. It's one of those kind of like movies that makes me feel good again, and watching someone that I like that's in a position that he is in. And I just watch that over and over again. So I have to go right now. It's American President for me, just because I've seen it so many times. Lacey, you have been dying to say something. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was 3 minutes ago old when I found out that Rob Reiner directed The American President. In my head, it was Aaron Sorkin, because I know he wrote it, and of course he did The West Wing, and that's my favorite. So,
you know what's funny that you say that, Lacey, is because when Aaron brought this movie to my attention, and she didn't mention it was a Rob Reiner film. We start watching it. I see the credits. I go, this is a fucking Rob Reiner film. I could not believe that there was a Rob Reiner film I had not seen.
I had no idea. The American President. I can now officially say, like, nope, American President's first one, top one. That's for me.
All right, real quick, Jen, we got to get on the next one.
No problem. Aaron, I'll give you the Blues Brothers. I never seen When Harry Met Sally. So you get the Blues Brothers. I'll take When Harry Met Sally, because I've never seen it.
All right, guys, let's get into John Cusack before we start to wrap things up here. This guy was on a roll from 83 to 90. He does Class in 1983, then 16 Candles in 84, Granville, USA in 84, Sure Thing in 85, Better Off Dead in 85, The Journey of Natty Gann in 85, Stand By Me in 86, One Crazy Summer in 86, Hot Pursuit in 87, Broadcast News in 87, Tapeheads in 88, Eight Men Out in 88, Say Anything in 89, Paul Newman in Fat Man and Little Boy. He had a part in that in 89, and he did The Grifters in 1990. Let's try to keep this kind of short here, guys, but I want to give you guys a shot at telling me your quick thoughts on this career and what is your favorite John Cusack film. Lacey, I'm going to start with you. It's a list.
So, sorry. For John Cusack, I'm going to go High Fidelity, and I'm going to go Gross Point Blank.
He likes 90s.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I left that off because that's a little bit later, but damn, that's a good one. That's a good pick. Yeah.
I go for the comedy rather than the romance a little bit more. So while there is obviously romance in High Fidelity, and there's also obviously there's a romantic piece, but it's more comedy than rom-com, right?
Yeah.
He's just so good. I mean, he gives like all the things. He's got great horror movies, and I don't do horror, but I've seen a few of his like kind of the darker, creepier thing. He's got, he kind of spans the gamut, which I think is why he's got so many good options. But I think favorite of those is gonna be Say Anything. The ones that you mentioned, it would be Say Anything.
Gotcha. Jen, what about you?
Love him. I personally think Say Anything is overplayed, but Better Off Dead. Like in that period, it's for me, it's Better Off Dead. But I do agree with Lacey. And you get into the 90s, Gross Point Blank. I mean, to me, that is the perfect John Cusack movie.
I'm right with you. I'm right with you.
Psycho.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Jen. That Better Off Dead for me, especially with the cast and Diane Franklin and all them, and Curtis Armstrong and all them. Great cast. But yeah, with you, Lacey and Jen, in the 90s, my second favorite is definitely Gross Point Blank. I know, of course, Sure Thing is probably your favorite. Of all these others, though, is there another one that jumps out at you?
I mean, I love Stand By Me. He's only in it for a second.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Yeah.
Whoops, spoiler. Yeah, I mean, I think I'd probably go more 90s because I wasn't a big fan of Crazy Summer or Better Off Dead. It gets too silly for me. Yeah. And I wasn't a big fan of Say Anything because, again, I think it was a little bit over. That to me was forced.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Stand By Me actually is Carl Reiner's favorite film that he's done because he has a personal connection to it, and it's one of his favorites. So.
And he created Castle Rock. So there you go.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's ask the question here. What happens next? Would you have liked to have seen a sequel? If so, what would you have liked to have seen? Or does it stand by itself? Leave it alone. I know the answer, Aaron. What do you say?
The end. It doesn't matter. I don't care. We don't need to know. That's the story. The end.
Gotcha. All right. Lacey,
Lacey's got fingers up.
What about you, Lacey?
I think the sequel to this is Gross Point Blank. I mean, legit. Like there's a girl from way back. I mean, I think that the character he plays in this is the most similar other character that he has.
Now I want to watch Gross Point Blank.
And then, there's a sequel to Gross Point Blank, so then it's the Sure Thing, the Gross Point Blank, and then War Inc. And so I think that could, that the vibe is very similar. I think that this could be Gross Point Blank could be the sequel to this.
That's hilarious. That is
going to be High Fidelity, and he just goes,
I could see him go into High Fidelity, but yeah,
that's the sequel of it.
But I think the quirkiness that he does in this film, Sure Thing, it definitely translates over to Gross Point Blank. Jen, what about you? What do you think? Sequel or no sequel? What are your thoughts?
No sequel, but I like Lacey's train of thought. Daphne Zuniga becomes Minnie Driver, and if he is an Ivy League school, then he is back east, and he's near Washington D.C. and Quantico, Virginia, so he technically could become a CIA agent, FBI agent, undercover and everything. So it is in the realm of we don't want a sequel, but if we're going to tie stuff together that really isn't tied together, there is enough there to make it tie together and work.
I think there's enough of John Cusack in each one of his roles that we could do the Matthew Broderick thing, where you say that, it was Ferris and then the freshman and then, so I think there's a definite linearness to some of his roles that could be qualified at least. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let's wrap things up here. This has been awesome. I want to first of all get your guys' final thoughts here. And Lacey, I'm going to go right back to you. Give me your final thoughts on the Short Thing, because we remind people here, you just saw this movie for the first time, and I think you like it.
I did. I very much did. I'm going to quote Rupert Everett from My Best Friend's Wedding and say, love the purse, love the shoes, love everything.
Nice. Well said. All right, Jen, give me your final thoughts on A Sure Thing.
Glad for the reintroduction. My physical media collection is not as extensive as either of yours. I think it's at like 7 DVDs, soon to be 8. But yeah, rewatchability, smart, well done, not forced, very good. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And it's a bummer that it's so overlooked, but like you said in the articles, it seems to be gaining some traction now that it's hitting the 40 year and people are either rediscovering it or discovering it for the first time. So excellent movie.
Excellent point. Aaron, your final thoughts on The Sure Thing.
Well, one of the reviews on IMDb said the most quoted film that no one's ever seen. It's the perfect film for me. It's the perfect comedy for me. music, pace, cast, script. And again, I could literally put it on now. I've literally half watched it. Well, it's been on the thing, and still laugh and enjoy it. And it will always be my favorite comedy of all time.
That's it. It's funny, Lacey, if we could say in our letterbox thing of, how we keep track of the movies that we watch, if I could say how many times I've seen The Sure Thing in the last week, last month, if you think about it, is probably like 6. Getting ready for this podcast. I'm grateful to Erin here for because I was surprised that she brought a comedy to the table here, because I knew that she was a horror fan. She likes thrillers, and she was straight up. She says, I'm not a big comedy person, but then she brings this to the table here. I'm going, well, holy shit. And I when I first saw it, I was like, first of all, I can't believe how good this movie is. How many chords that it hits that's nostalgic, and parts of it hit home with me as well. And it's just one of those kind of forgotten gems, I think. But I think it's slowly starting to get rediscovered. I'm glad it got released on Blu-ray, because it's not streaming anywhere. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's a rights thing or whatever it is, or if people just haven't, tried hard enough. But please, I hope it gets to streaming, so people that don't have the collections that we do on physical media can watch this thing and do it. And it's just a wonderful.
You know what it does? It makes you smile.
Yeah, it does.
You watch it and you smile.
Yeah.
And I would also like to say that CLZ just updated their app, so you can actually list the dates when you watch something, the number of times you watch it.
But can I say The Sure Thing for 2025 7 times? Can I do that?
Yeah, you can put it. It asks you when you watched it and where you watched it, and you just add every time you watch it. If you
I'll have to check that out. That's great. All right, guys, this is the Fandom Podcast Network. If you're listening, thank you very much. Please share and subscribe to our audio feed, and also too, if you're watching on the video here, please subscribe to the Fandom Podcast Network. Hit our QR code there. That'll take you to our website with all of our awesome podcasts on the Fandom Podcast Network. You can find us on Facebook, Blue Sky, X, Instagram. Make sure you do that and give us a follow, and also hit us up on TeePublic. I'm wearing a cool Couch Potato Theater here. This, of course, is Couch Potato Theater, The Sure Thing, 1985. We got lots of cool hats and shirts and stuff like that. Lacey, first of all, thank you very much. If people want to reach out to you, how so?
Come to DragonCon in August.
You're on Letterboxd too. I know that.
I am on Letterboxd, but I have never had someone try to friend me. I've never seen that happen. I've never had someone reach out and be like, "Hey." I think you can follow someone on Letterboxd, but I don't think you can actually communicate with them. I'm on Discord, but I'm only on the DragonCon stuff, so I don't think you'd find me unless you actually physically go to DragonCon in August.
Right.
But yeah, and I'm here a lot. I'm on.
Yeah.
All
also, please check out our Time Warp podcast, as you're one of our co-hosts on that as well. So, yeah. Jen, good to connect with you again. Where can we find you?
I am on Instagram under ChefStomp91, and if you try to talk to me on Instagram through ChefStomp91, you need to explain to me who you are and why you're reaching out to me, because otherwise, if I see just a random request or a random whatever, I'll be like, yeah, bye, blocked. Because nice. I've had, my Facebook is my name, but I've had it since 2008, and I checked it today. I still have a whopping 70 friends. That's
Woo!
it.
There you
go. Look at me go. And it's all people I've known forever. So Instagram, I'm a little looser with.
Right.
But if you're going to follow me for boring occasional content or want to reach out, you got to tell me why. Because I'll be like, who the fuck are you? And why the fuck are you contacting me?
My name is Kevin. You can find me at Spartan_Phoenix on all the socials, Instagram, X, and Discord, and Letterboxd, and all that. You can find me on Facebook at Kevin Reitzel, and also at the Fandom Podcast Network. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And also I'm on Blue Sky as well at Spartan Phoenix. Aaron, if anyone wants to reach out to you, where are you?
I'm on Instagram, and that's it.
That's fine.
Well, it's just, there it is.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Lacey, for watching this for the first time and just diving in with us. Appreciate that. And Jen, it's always fun to podcast with you. We appreciate you, and thank you for coming to our wedding as well. We appreciate that.
It was nice to have the Witches of Eastwick back together
again. Yeah, that's right.
We're gonna have to figure out which one is which. We're gonna have to figure out which ones we are.
I guess Susan Sarandon because she was in Rocky Horror.
Also, all three
of Susan. You guys are all talking at the same time. time. Aaron, who do you want to be?
Well, I
We-
said Susan Sarandon.
We
you
all
know,
said Susan Sarandon.
everyone wants to be Susan
There you go.
Sarandon.
I'm gonna let you guys fight that out. But
I will
thank
go
you,
Michelle Pfeiffer.
thank you guys so much. This was a lot of fun, and I love celebrating this movie that's turning 40 years old. And I want to thank my lovely wife, Erin. Thank you for bringing. She's brought a lot of knowledge to me on movies, and this is one of the ones we've bonded on. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Well, guys, thank you so much. Stay tuned on the Fandom Podcast Network for more Couch Potato Theaters and a lot of other fun stuff there. Please subscribe. Aaron, you want to close us out with a sure thing quote?
Well, I hope you fully appreciate the magnitude of your impending good fortune.
That is it. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time on the couch.
He eats paste. He eats paste.
See you guys next time. Love you.